What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats for the guns in Call of Duty Vanguard, and in today's episode, we're going to be covering the brand new LMG. This is the UGM-8. And starting it off as always, let's have a look at our damage profile. With this gun, it's going to be a 4 to 5 shot kill to the torso, although up close, you need to hit at least 2 out of those 4 shots to the torso in order to maintain that 4 shot kill potential. And then when it comes to headshot damage, headshots aren't that great. You do require at least 2 headshots mixed in with torso shots at any range in order to reduce the number of shots to kill. As for our rate of fire, this is quite fast at 895 rounds per minute. And what this means for our time to kill potential is in the 4-shot kill range, this is 201 milliseconds, which is a great time to kill potential for an LMG, especially when you consider the ranges. As for our headshot time to kill potential, assuming we hit 2 shots to the head and then 1 to the torso up close, this is 134 milliseconds, which is very, very fast. But then getting into our bullet velocity, this is standard for LMGs at 930 meters per second. And now let's move into ranges, which we've got a great 4-shot kill range here at 55 meters. Anything beyond that will be a 5-shot kill. And then when we look at hardcore game modes, unfortunately, this gun doesn't have a 1-shot kill to the body, even at point blank ranges. It's going to take you 2 shots to kill to the body, although it'll be a 1-shot kill to the head or the neck. As for our hipfire, this is actually the best in the LMG category by a fairly noticeable margin, so that's nice to see. And then let's have a look at our idle sway, which, as you can see there's a little bit of movement while aiming down sight, and that could potentially throw off your first shot accuracy. Speaking of accuracy, let's have a look at our recoil, and as you can see there, this thing kicks upward to the right, and there is a bit of side-to-side bounce as it climbs, so that is something to keep in mind, and possibly something you want to try to mitigate with attachments. But moving on to our handling stats, our aim down sight time is quite slow, even for an LMG at 450 milliseconds. However, our sprint to fire time is the best in the LMG category at 250 milliseconds. All of the other LMGs have a standard sprint out time of 300 milliseconds. And then when we have a look at our reload add time, this is quite slow, as you can see here. It's not quite the slowest in the LMG category. The MG42 is still slower, but this is a very slow reload add time at 5.29 seconds. Finally, for the base stats of this gun, let's have a look at our mobility, and across the board, this is actually a pretty high mobility LMG. It's above average in every one of these categories, which you can definitely use to your advantage. So there we go, we blasted through those base stats pretty quickly. Now let's move on to some unique attachments, and we'll start it off with barrels and their recoil. When it comes to the first barrel attachment, that Bernard barrel, this one noticeably increases rate of fire, and yet it still manages to reduce your recoil from the base by a noticeable margin. So this is a great choice when it comes to recoil. Then with the second barrel, this one converts it to a 4-round burst, and therefore, as expected, you have a much tighter grouping here, but it is worth noting there is a decent amount of side-to-side movement within each one of these bursts. So while it is accurate in the burst mode, it's not going to be like pinpoint accurate at really long ranges. But then finally, for the third barrel, you might notice the total magnitude isn't as high as the base gun. However, it's those initial shots you want to be looking at, and the jump between those initial shots is actually pretty crazy if you're trying to stretch the ranges out at all. And as a result, this is actually quite an inaccurate barrel, at least where it counts with those initial shots. After that, let's have a look at our barrel ranges, and it's only the third barrel that reduces our range a little bit, but it still has a very solid range here. The other ones have no impact on range, but they do have an impact on time to kill, so let's have a little bit of a deeper look at those. When it comes to that first barrel, the Bernard barrel, this one increases our rate of fire up to 1,000 rounds per minute, which is very, very fast. And what this means is in the 4-shot kill range, our time to kill potential is now 180 milliseconds, which is highly competitive, especially when you factor in the range values here. And even with a 5-shot kill, with a 240 millisecond time to kill, that's still competitive. That's still a great time to kill potential. And when we also factor in the fact that this helps our recoil, this is an incredible choice. I really like this barrel, but it does harm our handling quite a bit, so that's just something to keep in mind with it. As for the second barrel, which is the 4-round burst barrel, we can get a 1 burst kill for a time to kill potential of 184 milliseconds, but every one of those 4 bullets has to hit your target. And the moment you require a second burst to kill, our time to kill increases massively up to over half a second, which isn't even remotely close to being competitive. So I would say with this barrel, it's viable if you are confident in getting those 1 burst kills. You're going to be killing people very, very quickly, but it's also very unforgiving. And the moment you don't get a 1 burst kill, you're likely to be outgunned. So there we go, those are the barrel attachments. We've only got 3 for this gun, and I highly recommend using that first barrel if you don't mind the handling hit. Now let's move on to magazines, and again, we'll have a look at our recoil. And we can actually use 4 different calibers with this gun if you include the base caliber. And if we look at 50 BMG, this one decreases the total magnitude of our recoil, but you can see there's a pretty big jump between the first and second shot, and it can be quite inconsistent. The first recoil pattern, there wasn't a huge jump, but then with the second recoil pattern, there was, and that could really throw you off in a fight. Then with 6.5 Sakura, this one noticeably decreases our recoil across the board. And then finally with 303 British, this is sort of an in-between the base and the 6.5 Sakura. So it helps our recoil control for sure, just not quite as much as 6.5 Sakura. As for how these impact our ranges, 50 BMG will increase our ranges while also turning the gun into a 3 to 4 shot kill, whereas 6.5 Sakura as well as 303 British, both of these will be pretty significantly reducing our ranges, but it will still be a 4 to 5 shot kill with both of these. And diving a little bit deeper into these, let's have a look at 303 British first. With this, our rate of fire is now 952 rounds per minute, so a little bit of an increase to our rate of fire, which improves our time to kill potential. However, with this, it is worth noting that we now need to hit all 4 shots to the torso if we want a 4-shot kill. And as a result, I would say 303 British is a good choice if you're using hollow point. If you're not using hollow point, it can be quite unforgiving. But at the end of the day, even if you're getting a 5-shot kill with this gun, 252 milliseconds to kill isn't bad at all. As for the 6.5 Sakura rounds, these ones are actually very, very similar to the 303 British. We get the exact same damage profile, which again means you have to hit all 4 shots to the torso to get a 4-shot kill. However, we do get a slightly faster rate of fire than 303 British, so therefore we also get a slightly better time to kill, although the difference here is basically imperceptible. So I actually feel like this is basically the same as 303 British. It's best used with hollow points just to make sure you get those consistent 4-shot kills when you're within the 4-shot kill range. But finally, this leaves us with the 50 BMG magazines. And with this, like I said earlier, it turns it into a 3 to 4 shot kill. And it's also worth noting, in that 3-shot kill range, you do have to hit 2 out of your 3 shots to the torso. Otherwise, it will end up being a 4-shot kill. And with this, it noticeably reduces our rate of fire down to 631 rounds per minute. And what this means is our time to kill potential up close is faster than the base gun at 190 milliseconds, and that's great to see. However, at a distance, it's going to be slower than the base gun at 285 milliseconds. Now, when you also factor in the big range increase that you get with this barrel, I would say it's not a bad choice. It's not necessarily the best choice all around, which is a bit refreshing to see because usually the high damage ammo, it's just the obvious choice and you absolutely want to run it. Instead, with this one, I'd say use it if you want, but if you're not using it, it's not like you're really missing out on a lot either. And with that, that finally covers it for the unique attachments I wanted to mention in today's video. Now we can move on to some excellent attachment combinations. And the first one I'm going to share with you guys is my high damage build. So with this one, we are using 50 BMG. However, we're also combining it with that first barrel, which boosts our rate of fire and it reduces our recoil. And as a result, our new time to kill potential with this in the 3-shot kill range is 176 milliseconds, which is very, very fast. And then it's 264 milliseconds at longer ranges. The recoil on this is very manageable, very controllable, and one of the things I love about this setup is due to the stock that I'm using, our aim down sight strafe speed is great. So while we have a very slow aim down sight time, we can just pre-aim before we strafe around a corner and still be very effective at challenging gunfights. So this is definitely designed more for the traditional LMG role, where you're kind of hanging back, locking down a position, locking down a lane, and basically nothing that enters that lane will be able to reliably touch you. As for the second build that I'm going to share with you guys, this is my rapid build. So with this, we're using, once again, that first barrel attachment. I really, really like this attachment for this gun, but we're also combining that with 6.5 Sakura, which gives us a rate of fire of just under 1,100 rounds per minute, which is extremely fast. We're also using hollow point with this, so if we're within a 4-shot kill range, it will always be a 4-shot kill. And while our range isn't amazing at only 28 meters, our time to kill potentials are incredible. Up close in that 4-shot kill range, we're killing people in 165 milliseconds, no matter where in the body we're shooting them, which is amazing. And then even when we do drop off to that 5-shot kill range, which will be happening if we extend our range a bit, we still have a very competitive time to kill within those ranges at 220 milliseconds. That still outguns most of the guns in the game beyond 28 meters. And when we have a look at the recoil with this build as well, you can see there isn't a whole lot of recoil with that. This is very accurate, very consistent, still has a pretty solid strafe speed as well, although our aim down sight time is more manageable than the previous build too. So just as sort of an all-arounder, I really like this particular setup with the UGM-8. And with that, that's going to wrap it up for the brand new LMG that just released with Season 4. And as for my thoughts on this, I really like the UGM. It's actually one of my favorite LMGs in Vanguard. And if you guys haven't given it a shot yet, I definitely recommend doing so, especially with that first barrel attachment. I love that first barrel attachment to increase rate of fire while also reducing recoil. Now, of course, that is just my thoughts on the UGM. I'd like to hear from you guys in those comments down below, though. What are you guys thinking about this gun so far? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Are you kind of indifferent? Just let me know down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.